Hello and welcome to a new Let's Play series on my channel. I'm Greatester, and this is Kerbal Space Program, or rather Kerbal Space Program Beta, which came out just before Christmas, and it's probably time for me to take a look now that obviously Beta is usually a stage when things are feature complete and we can get going with some of the features of the game. And obviously if you've played this before in Alpha, it's changed for a bit, at least when you get started. So we're going to start with a new game and we'll see how to get going. We're going to start this first episode. We're certainly trying to get us towards the first flight portion of the game, if you like, for first takeoff, hopefully not first crash. We're going to start a new game, and let's start this. Oops. Greatester. And my flag is going to be NASA. Oops, NASA. Yes, definitely NASA. We're going to be playing in career mode or normal. I don't have any mods installed, at least not to start. We may well add some later. There's some really nice ones for things like clouds, for things like deadly re-entry, and all kinds of other things. There's even realistic ones that make Kerbal the size of Earth. Yes, I'm going to overwrite. And waiting for it to load, and here we are. Yeah, thanks, I've got it. So if you've already played this, and let's take the volume down a little bit. It's already down fairly low. Okay, that's not really affecting things much, but we'll see how we go. Let me know in the feedback below if you think this is too loud, too quiet, and I'll adjust the volume for next time. So, where do we start? This is the space program headquarters, if you like, the center of the Kerbal space program. And if you played this before, you may notice a few changes. One was all the buildings are gone. Well, you start off in Kerbal Beta with there's a whole base building mechanics part of it. So these buildings are the starting versions of the buildings, and certainly not the final versions. You know, if you even look at the launch pad over there, it's just a circle of concrete on some dirt. Nothing you're going to launch something like the Apollo space program on. So let's get started. Where do we start first? Well, starting first, definitely we want to look at this building. It is the mission control building. You left click to get into it, and there are missions, and the missions reward you with all kinds of different things. This first contract is to launch a new vessel, and not very hard, but it does give you some money, so that's definitely what we want. So let's take that. We can only take two at once, unlike the prior versions of Beta, so we've got to choose, and set an altitude record of 5,000 meters. Yeah, I'll take that one as well. And you notice we're now maximum 2 of 2, unfortunately. So we'll just visit our sorry, let me just right click the astronaut complex. I can only have a maximum of 5 active Kerbals. Got the 3 initial ones, pilot, engineer, and a scientist. I want to take another pilot or 2 because I don't want to quit anything unless I want to keep all the mistakes in here. I may try and edit some out if they're really bad, but let's start with by taking Dofield Kerman and maybe another pilot, Adam Kerman. Let's exit that. We can look at some of the other things, but at the moment this is the administration building. We've got the tracking station over here. We're not going to need those initially. Research and development we're probably not going to need initially, but this is where you get new stuff. Here's what you start with, and all of these things you can build with. And then basic rocketry needs 5 science, but I don't have any science. So how do we get science? Well, we get science by doing missions and experiments. By missions I purely mean by launching a rocket. If we enter this building, and by the way there's 2 of these construction buildings, this is the vehicle assembly building, this one is for space planes, so if I right click on this one, space plane hangar. This one vehicle assembly building. This is where we make rockets. And to start with, just a few controls. If I use shift, let me get this right. I have to place something down first. Let's place a command pod. It's the basic module. It has to be pretty much in everything. This is for you to contain your crew. And if I use shift scroll wheel, I can zoom in and out. And normal scroll wheel, I can scroll up and down. So, we've got a command module. We've got something for people to sit in. What else do we want? Well, let's make sure they can get back first of all. And that, I want the parachute. Fit it on top, like that. We also want fuel tanks, but this is a liquid fuel tank. To start off with, we can start with the simplest rocket, which is just a solid fuel booster. Problem with this is largely that once it's on, you can't turn it off until it runs out of fuel. And good luck if you're inside it at the time. With what we could do is we could take this and we could put a fuel tank and then a liquid fuel engine underneath like that. Looks a little odd for me, so I'm going to start with the solid fuel booster. We don't really have too much other things. We have a girder segment, but that's kind of like for keeping things from falling over, or for building larger craft. A communitron, which is a radio if you like, and pretty much nothing else. But that's okay, we're not going to need anything else. Now, if you look over here down at the bottom right, you'll see the stages area. This music really is loud. I'll see if I can sort that out shortly. So we've got two items. We've got the parachute and the rocket booster. Right at the moment they're in one stage, and it means if I press spacebar, both of those are going to go off at the same time. And believe me, firing a rocket booster and the parachute at the same time is not a good idea. So we're going to add a stage. I'm going to move the rocket booster into it. These fire from bottom to top, so stage 1, then stage 0. That sounds weird, I know, but that's the way it works. So let's call our spacecraft something. Let's call it a tiny rocket. Nothing else is pretty much, I can change the crew actually. Let's get rid of Jebediah and add one of those new ones. And I think we're done. It's a really terrible rocket, but we're done. So what we can do is go to launch. And from here we find our amazing launch pad is just a concrete pad on some dirt, on some grass, and that's it. Now from here what we want to actually do is get some science. And science is the thing that we can use to purchase all those new stuff and get bigger rockets and more amazing stuff. To do that we can run experiments, and we can actually run the experiment even when we're here on the launch pad. So what we can do is we can click on this. Obviously there's one person in there. If we right click we can get a crew report. I actually don't want this particular crew report, but let's just take it anyway. You record the crew's assessment of the situation and you get 1.5 science if you recover it, 1.5 science if you transmit it, but we can't transmit it because there is no radio. Remember, I didn't fit that radio. That's for a good reason, but we'll come back to that one. You have to fit them. The reason is largely if you fit them one-sided or on just one side and not another, the craft is no longer symmetric, and I could put multiple of them on, but we'll come back to radios soon anyway. What we can also do is go down here at the top bottom left and click on EVA, and out pops our astronaut. Now we can take the data from the command pod, which we just got, hopefully. There we go. And we can right click on him and say, give me an EVA report. EVA report is just him observing what's happening, and apparently he's flying over Kerbal shores. Okay, but we get 5 science for it, 5.6 science in fact, and we can keep that. And then we can right click and then store everything back in the command pod and press F to reboard. still haven't done anything. We're still on the actual concrete pad. So how do we take off from here? Well, it's a solid fuel booster. So the only thing we really can do is start it up. And we do that by pressing space to activate the next stage. There we go. Now, I'm going to head inland first. I could actually head towards the water. As you can see, I'm having trouble. I'm actually pressing W continually, which is with a feathering it. And instead, I could press T, and that would activate the stability system, which would let me not have to keep pressing A and D and W and S. They control the kind of pitch of the rocket, as well as the yaw of the rocket. As you see, we've just run out of fuel, and the engine is overheated, but that's okay. And at the top of the screen, you'll see the altimeter. We're going up above 10,000 meters. And that should mean, yep, there we go. We've actually achieved both of our contracts. Contract complete. Yep. Now, the one thing we can't do at the moment, and you may have seen on rockets in real life, is the stage is breaking off. Unfortunately, we don't have anything that can actually separate things. So we've got a rocket that's plummeting back to Earth, and I'm currently 10,000 meters up. Bit of a problem, but that's okay. Because this is a small rocket, we can try and bring ourselves under control with a parachute. And we do that by pressing space to activate the next stage. There's our parachute. You see it's not fully opened yet. We're going a bit too fast. 170 meters per second, and we're still falling towards the ground. What I can also do is use the full stop or period key to accelerate time. And if I do it again, it says using physics warp connect the ship, affect the structural stability of the vessel. Be careful using it with large ships. This isn't a large ship, but I could accelerate even further, and then use comma to bring it back under control. And I'm doing this just to get closer to the ground, just so that you don't have to watch the whole thing, but you feel free to watch it yourself. So we're back at normal time. Parachute's opened, and you can see my shadow on the ground as I approach the ground. So if I just speed things up a little bit, there we go. Shadow coming towards us. The altimeter, however, shows the altitude above sea level, and we may be above sea level here, so it's probably best that you don't actually try and chance it by accelerating right into the ground. Nearly there. There's the shadow. Now, unfortunately, there's no landing struts or anything like that, so this should be a bit of a problem. But it's okay. We didn't actually kill ourselves in the process. Dovfield is still alive. And we can do a few things from here. So we can get a crew report. We can keep that. And if we get out, again, can I get an EVA report? I wonder. If I press space, I should be able to get off and walk around. He's cute. And an EVA report. Yes, the spacesuit's probably not necessary, but as you can see, with every one of these experiments we're actually doing, we're getting some science. So again, this is just using my WSAD keys, just like normal. And when we get back to here, we can store the experiments. We've stored 4 different things. If we press F, we can grab onto the capsule, and we can press F again to board. And here we're in the capsule. If we don't have anything left to do, we can go to the top of the screen and click on Recover Vessel. And that's our first flight. We've got it out of the way, we've got everything done, and we should get a lot of bonuses. Here's what we get for bonuses. 1.5, 5.6, 1.5, 2.4, 5. All good. Next, we recovered pretty much everything apart from the solid booster, which got destroyed when we landed, but there's nothing we can do about that the first time. At least, as far as I know, there's nothing we can do about that. And Dovfield gained 1 XP. Oh well. At least we got the parts and the science. So, what do we do with that? We can go to the R&D section, and we can actually spend that science to get extra stuff. In particular, we get a new fuel tank, another new fuel tank, some mystery goo, which is another experiment, and most importantly, for a lot of your designs, will be the stack decoupler. That basically breaks stuff apart. As you can see, it's now opened up 3 other things. 15 science we could technically actually afford, but I'm not too worried about it just yet. What I wanted to see is what other things we could actually do, what you know, the rewards we could get. This one is to test the Mark 16 parachute in flight over Kerbal. However, this is at altitudes 14,600 to 22,000, and it's at high speeds. If you remember, or if you saw on the screen, when we were landing previously, we were landing at, heading downwards at a speed of about 170. We're not going anywhere near fast enough for this test. Oh well. We do have a stack decoupler. We have to do that anywhere between 7,000 and 10,000, and speeds 150 to 250. That's far, far more achievable. So let's take that one. And test the solid fuel booster. I thought we'd already done that. Anyway, we can use the SRB then. SFB. And let's see if we can actually use that one. So now I've got 2 missions again, and we go back. Now I can break this apart, or should be able to. It's over here, and we can get some new parts. Yeah, there we are, stack decoupler. What this should do is actually break off our solid rocket engine from our command module, which is what we want, and I'm going to get this. Now, this is the mystery goo. The important part here is that, well, 2 important parts. One is if you just strap it to this side of the command module like this, when it goes up, it's going to be lopsided. So instead, you can press X, and X lets you put more than one thing that I made it radially symmetric on the craft. Press X again and add 3, or 4, or 6. Right. What we actually want is 2 though, and I found painfully while testing why or where to put them. See, if you put them here, you're covering the actual door, and your guys can't get out. So bear that in mind if you're adding stuff to the command module. We could just as easily add it to the fuel booster, but that's going to be separated. And we're going to want another stage, because we don't want to fire the main rockets and separate at the same time. And I've lowered the volume a little bit. Hopefully that's a bit better. So we've got our mystery goo. Communitron. Yeah, still not needing that, I don't think. I don't think we got anything else pretty much at this stage. We could move to liquid fuel, but yeah, I'm still not finished with my solid one because of that mission, unfortunately. Just double check. Yeah, so test the stack decoupler and test the solid fuel booster. So we have to hit 8,800, and we have to hit 440 meters per second. So we're probably going to try and go straight up, unlike my previous one. Those are just my different ships. Not sure if I can get to launch that way. Probably can. But here we are, back on the launch pad. When it loads. Here we are. So again, just like I can do other things, I can test mystery goo. and I get 3 signs for it. The main problem with the mystery goo, or not the problem, but the thing that you have to take into account is that you can only use it once. That's pretty much done now, so having more of them is usually a good thing. However, I don't really have any space on my command module, and I don't have any radios yet. So I'm going to need to recover the craft because I can't transmit anything, and that means can't let it be destroyed, which means I can't let it actually be on the solid fuel booster. So, shall we get started again? Let's activate the stability control system, and off we go. Now, this time I'm just going to try and hit that altitude that we need for our mission. As you see, the first one is now mostly complete, apart from the altitude. Second one, again, all depends on the speed. Can we get to the speed that we need to for each of these? So to test the SRB, that's done. Although I'm not sure why that's gone off again, because we did actually get that, so that is a bit annoying. And the stack decoupler, we have to wait until we get to, or wait till we fall under 10,000 feet again. So let's bring this back up. Yes, don't show this again. And we're starting to fall. We need to wait till we're below 10,000 meters. As you can see, our speed is also increasing. And now, there we go. Whoops. Slight problem when you're going straight up. And unfortunately, this other one has not really been successful. I'm not sure why, because we got all 4 ticked and then they went away again, which is not particularly nice. No idea why. Maybe you have to, I don't know, maybe it has to empty fuel when you're in those conditions, which would be interesting. But anyway, we're floating back down here towards the ground, and my rocket booster is falling and exploding. But I should be able to observe the other mystery goo, get a bit more science, and then, I can probably accelerate us a little bit. So you don't have to watch all of this. There we go. Recover the vessel. Lots of science. Lots of parts. And unfortunately, the pilot is no experience. So I'm not too happy with the active contract. We're going to have to figure out how to actually get that done. So it could well be... we can't throttle back, so we can't really change the speed too much. Can we do it by controlling our altitude, I wonder? Because we can't turn the ship. So if I leave this up, I'm going to take off again. This time we're going to head out over the sea. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, the nav ball kind of shows me where I am in relation to the horizon. In this case, I'm kind of heading at 45 degrees. And I need to head up a little bit more. But I've run out of fuel. And my stability system isn't working. Now, depending on my momentum, no, I'm going to fall back down again. So let's use this as an opportunity to test an entirely different biome. We've tested the dark green biome, I think that's, I'll have to check. We've tested the launch pad by doing crew reports. While flying over Kerbin's water now, we've got a separate crew report. We're going to continue to do much the same with the mystery goo. Didn't get very much science. But we are going to get a little bit more as we actually touch down. Hopefully. And let's just increase time warp. That sounded like my solid fuel booster dying. And we should be coming down. Right smack bang into the ocean. Where's my shadow? There it is. That shadow in no way represented where I was. So, just as before, right click, observe the mystery goo. Go escapes into the water, but we did get some science. All well and good. Now we can get out of here, but there'll usually be a problem. But we'll do this anyway. Crew report, we can't overwrite the existing one, so instead we'll EVA. And I think we got a little bit lucky this time. Oh no, wait. There it goes. So we're going to take the data, store it back in there, and get an EVA report, which gives us another 3 science. And store that. And now I'm swimming with little ability to do anything. I can't really get back in, or I'm trying to try, but may not work. Oh. Ha! Now, in fact, because this is going to happen to you, I'm actually going to show you what happens if you can't get back on, because I've had situations where this has rolled such that the crew hatch is underwater, which isn't great. So instead what you can do is go and press recover, and that isn't going to recover the vessel, but it's going to recover your astronaut. So as you can see, I didn't really get any parts or science, because all we recovered was Jebediah. Was the astronaut, it wasn't Jebediah. But if we go to the tracking station, we can try and find. There we are. That's where we are. Not actually what sure these are yet. I'll have to have a look into those. But here's where we splash down. We can select that, which is over there on the left hand side, tracked objects, and we can press recover here. And now we get all the science that we collected, because remember we stored the data in the capsule, not with the scientist, or the pilot. And we get parts. And we're recovered. So now if we look at the research and development, you'll see we've now got 41 science. So I can certainly afford this survivability upgrade, which has some radially mounted parachutes, some landing struts, and a new engine. So we can accept that. And we've got some further ones, but that's 45 science, that's 45 as well. These we can actually afford. Stability, that gives us a nose cone, some winglets, and some radial decouplers. The difference between radial decoupler and a stack decoupler is the radial ones, you can attach things to the sides of your rocket that when you eject that stage, they fly off the sides. Think of the SRBs, the big white boosters on the side of the space shuttle. As they're actually going up, those get ejected first. Then the main booster tank gets ejected eventually, and you end up with just the space shuttle left with its engines. The other one, oh, that's the more expensive one. I can't afford that yet. The other one is more powerful rockets. So if you want an even more powerful solid fuel booster or a Separatron, I'm not actually sure the Separatron. It's a solid fuel booster basically with an ability to break things off, just like the separators. We're going to leave those alone as well. And that is probably enough for the first episode, I think. We've done a couple of flights, we've done a few experiments, one in the sea, one at the launch pad, and one over there towards the mountains. We've done a quick look at the buildings. There's not much to see because each of them require upgrades. For example, for this, I require lots of upgrade, lots of money. Are any of these actually affordable? That's 50k. I think I only got 34. I could upgrade mission control. Not sure I'm going to do it though because I don't know how much my rockets I'm going to build are going to be, how much they're going to be. So that's good for the first episode. If you'd like to see more of these episodes, please do subscribe below. Leave a like or a comment. Tell me what you'd like to see and what you wouldn't. And we'll see where we go from here. This is first in a new series, so we'll see what this new series brings. Thanks for watching. This has been Great Star.